Am I the asshole for telling my wife's family our secret? I, 28M, have been with my wife, Rebecca, 29F, for 4 years. Rebecca comes from a very religious family and we have hidden a lot of aspects about our marriage. We have some contact with them and only see them on holidays and special occasions, like weddings or baby showers. One of the biggest things they disapprove of was not having our wedding in a church. It was such a big deal that we now hide aspects of our marriage, like the fact we are going to be child-free. One thing the family does not know about is that Rebecca and I have an open marriage and have had an open relationship ever since we started dating. So I was meeting up with another girl at the bar a few days ago. It was going well and I didn't notice anything strange. Well, today we went to Rebecca's sister's baby shower. The large baby shower was cancelled since the plague, so it really was dinner with her family. We get there and everyone is glaring daggers at me. The whole thing is tense until we get to a slideshow on her sister showing pictures of the nursery and other baby stuff. In the slideshow, there was a picture of me with the girl at the bar. It wasn't an innocent picture and looking at it everyone would think I was cheating. The whole family starts yelling at me and calling me a cheater and how dare I do this to Rebecca. I look at Rebecca for help but she just stays quiet. I try to get them to calm down but nothing is working. So I just yell out, Rebecca and I have an open marriage. This causes everyone to start freaking out even more and we quickly leave. I'm in the car with Rebecca and she starts to yell at me about how could I tell her family that I completely betrayed her trust and this is probably going to ruin her relationship with the family. I'm angry now and say, so what, you would rather make me out to be a cheater than tell the truth. The argument continues for the rest of the car ride and she won't talk to me anymore. I am sleeping on the couch. Hoo boy, I was so primed to write YTA, but no, not the asshole. Your wife was perfectly willing to throw you under the bus, and that should put her on the couch, not you. Damn. Sil thought she had you rolling on the floor laughing. I can only imagine they're plotting and scheming before y'all arrived. Not the asshole. ETA. Your wife is the asshole though. Not the asshole. First off, her family inserted a picture of you and your significant other into a baby shower slideshow. Before even addressing your wife, that is next level effed up. The family set you up for full-on shaming and ridicule at a baby shower. It's one thing to confront you one-on-one. Quite another to publicly shame you like that. So F her family. On your wife? I get it. She panicked. Didn't know how to respond and didn't want the angry mob of assholes to turn on her. But there is no way if I were her, after the initial shock, that I would ever leave my wife to be pilloried and shamed by my family. Nope. Certainly wouldn't be making her couch surf either. She messed up big time. You are so not the asshole. Her family wins that dishonor and she's right behind them. Not the asshole. Your wife would rather you look like an awful cheater than tell the truth to her family, and that is messed up. This is all around bad news. If you are trying to keep this a secret from her family, no judgment there, you gotta be more careful. Maybe meet your dates further out of town or go at an odd hour. You are not the asshole, though. It was super shitty of her not to stick up for you. Not the asshole. Your wife should have defended you. This sucks, and all the in-laws are quite obviously trash here, but your wife should have stepped up in this situation. Not the asshole. She was throwing you to the wolves to save herself. You had every right to defend yourself. Nah. Obviously you shouldn't have to take the heat to hide this from her family. At the same time, it sounds like she froze. I have a judgmental family myself and I can't even imagine what I'd do in that situation. You're upset she didn't speak up. She's upset you did. Neither of you reacted well, but there's really no right answer in that situation. Talk to her. She's probably just freaking out right now. It's tough to have family like this, especially when you love them in spite of how they treat you. She's in a very uncertain time and probably quite anxious. It's still not right to take it out on you. Talk to your wife and let her know that you'll get through this together. Am I the asshole for not wanting my fiance's last name because it is too Middle Eastern? My fiance, 26M, and I, F24, have been together for 3 years. I've always told him that I want to keep my last name because I like my name and I'm beginning my professional career. He and I live in the US in a southern, more conservative area. I won't use real names, but my name is a common English name, think Mary Williams or Olivia Smith, while his last name comes from his Arabic father, think Muhammad or Hussein or al-Baghdadi. Recently, we were discussing last names for me and our future kids. He pointed out, as he has several times before, that it would be easier for family planning and traveling for us all to just have his last name. I agreed that it would be nice, but I still wouldn't take his name. This time, he wouldn't let it go, arguing that it just makes sense and I don't have a valid reason not to take his name. Here's where I may be the whole. Tired of being hounded about this topic, I finally told him the truth, that I had always intended to take my future husband's last name before we met. It's just his name I don't want to take. I reminded him that his last name has caused his family nothing but trouble in this country, especially post 9/11. How he complains of being stopped at airports and that he and his siblings were teased for their name as kids, so much so that all his siblings, male and female, have since changed their last names. I pointed out that his name may be common in the Middle East, but it is also identical to a famous Middle Eastern politician, terrorist leader, and how people in the US subconsciously make that connection every time he introduces himself. He said that I was being racist and an hole and that I was saying that his name isn't good enough for me. He also pointed out that he is the last one in his family that can pass the name on, and that he was proud of his name in spite of all the hardship it has caused him. I argued that it was selfish of him to want to pass on the last name that would make life harder for me professionally and difficult for our future kids socially, just for the sake of preserving the patriarchal tradition of keeping the man's name. That in his shoes, I wouldn't hesitate to change my last name to make life easier on my family. I even suggested a compromise where we both change our names to something different, maybe a name from the other side of his family so that we could all have the same last name and honor his family history. But he wasn't interested. Everybody I have talked to about this in the past has encouraged me to take my husband's last name until I tell them what the name is, which is when they usually side with my arguments. His family, on the other hand, are all advocating for me to take the name, even the siblings who changed it years ago. Edit. After reading the comments, I realize the title may be misleading. I was attempting to write a title conveying the racism and judgment I fear for myself and my future kids without using words like ethnic or terrorist. To clarify, I would take another Middle Eastern name, given that it isn't attached to any infamous people or political figures. It is also identical to a famous Middle Eastern politician, terrorist leader, and how people in the US subconsciously make that connection every time he introduces himself. Everybody I have talked to about this in the past has encouraged me to take my husband's last name until I tell them what the name is, which is when they usually side with my arguments. Not the asshole. I wish it wasn't for the sake of your husband's family, but unfortunately some names are just too much in society, e.g., Hitler. I don't think Op is a racist. I think she's aware of the racist environment in which she lives and she's trying to protect her family accordingly. I'm sure she'd feel similarly if her husband's surname was Hitler or something. I don't know the situation or the judgment. I think it sucks that you live somewhere that's not welcoming for your husband. Can't make a judgment without knowing the name. All his siblings changed their name, so it must be bad. I am sympathetic to the commenters calling it racist, but like if my BF's name was Hitler, there's absolutely no way I'd take it. If the name is Bin Laden, or something, I get why Op wouldn't want it. If, 20 years after WW2, I was going to marry a man with the last name Hitler, or Stalin, you betcha I would be thinking twice about taking that last name. Although I know that back then women automatically took the husband's name, we actually do have a choice, nowadays, at least. And if he wants to make this a hill to, metaphorically, die on, well, you can keep your name and have children with somebody else. Not the asshole. Nah. He's proud of his background, his heritage, his family and his last name. It must be incredibly tough to watch himself and his family members be denigrated over a name. It's also understandable he sees you as giving into the racism and racists, and finds that hurtful. But at the same time, it's undeniable that a Middle Eastern last name in certain parts of the world makes you the target of racism. Edit. Especially if that name is shared with a well-known terrorist figure, blatant and more subtle. There are plenty of people who change their last name for that very reason. It's understandable that you're concerned about the potential impacts of changing your last name. Not the asshole, because in the Middle East we women keep our own surname, and never take our husbands on marriage. And people judging you on here have not lived with the Islamophobia we encounter. Given that, this name seems to be strongly associated with modern terrorism, and the entire rest of his family has changed their names away from it, and that fiance's drive to keep it as pure patriarchal tradition. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If your issue was not wanting any Middle Eastern last name, then you would be racist. But you don't want a specific Middle Eastern name that comes with a ton of baggage within this country. That's understandable, and while your husband's desire for you to take his last name is also understandable, it should be your decision whether or not you want to take on that baggage that his last name is associated with within this country. You might want to clarify the title of your post that it's a specific name you don't want and not all Middle Eastern names. The title of your post alone definitely sounds racist. Am I the asshole for taking away my daughter's college money? I, 38M, got a divorce 5 years ago. I met my new wife Sarah, 34F, at the workplace, and getting to know her made me realize how unhappy I was with my own married. We quickly became great friends and there was an attraction, but we kept everything professional. I sat my ex-wife down at the time and told her I wanted a divorce and that I was unhappy. That I believe I have fallen in love with someone else and I just want this over. She, 36F, did not take it well and it was a rough divorce. After the divorce was finalized, I asked out Sarah and she said yes. I had 2 daughters with my ex, who are now 17F Abby and 18F Grace. They did not take the divorce well at all and openly hate Sarah. I have custody every 2 weeks and during the time they go to a therapist. My ex refuses to take them even if I am paying for it during her time with the kids. My oldest is 18 now, so I can't force her to go, but she still comes over when her sister does. Therapy has helped, but not by much. I do discipline them with taking away privileges, but that doesn't seem to work either. Especially since my ex seems to encourage them to be cruel to Sarah. It was so bad at some parts that Sarah would go on road trip when I had my kids over. Anyways, I have been saving up for their college for the longest time. Each kid has about $40,000 saved up. This is all in my savings. Sarah and I have been trying for a baby for a while now and she did get pregnant. The baby was a stillborn and it broke our hearts. We turned his ashes into a necklace for Sarah and a ring for me. Our jobs don't allow jewelry since it is a safety hazard with all the machines. It can get caught in the machine, which is very dangerous. So every day we take them off for work and put them in her jewelry box. Well, we came home from work today and the ring and necklace was destroyed. The ring looked like it was cut in half with bolt cutter and the necklace was smashed. Abby and Grace were smug about it and started to taunt us. Sarah having a breakdown and I told them to get out. They didn't think I was serious, so I told them again. They said whatever and that I wasn't gonna see them soon anyway since they are going to college. I told them they are not getting a single dime. They left. I informed my ex that they will not get any money for college from me and she has been blowing my phone up since. My daughters have also been blowing up my phone. Edit, since some people are asking. The money was not part of the divorce agreement, instead the ugly divorce was with my ex trying to make it so I didn't have custody. The money is also just in my name, it was just me throwing money in a separate saving account. I am also in therapy. People are mentioning family therapy and to put it lightly, it didn't go well. My ex refused to be on the same room as me. The girls refused to be in therapy with Sarah and me. I thought it would add to the resentment if that was forced. So I deemed it better that the daughters go to their own therapist, and I have had one since the divorce. Am I the asshole? So you had an emotional affair that caused the end of your marriage and then you immediately took up with this new woman and then you're shocked that your kids don't like her. Esh. What they did was horrendous, but even from what little you wrote it's apparent you handled this horrendously. From insisting on custody when they didn't want anything to do with you, and at 13-12 they were definitely old enough to do so, to forcing them into therapy to fix them, to punishing them for not wanting to play happy family. You pushed and pushed and pushed and they pushed back. Lots of blaming to go all around. You put them in therapy to fix them after you break up your marriage for someone else and immediately got together with the new woman? They didn't need fixing up. You are selfish and your ex is vile. Ain't you surprised you have selfish, vile children? They are obviously the asshole, but the apple fell right under the tree here. Apples who think only of their own feelings don't fall far from trees who think only of their own feelings. You're the asshole. Your daughters are assholes too. Maybe you all need family therapy, rather than laying all the emotional work of your divorce and remarriage on your girls and their therapists, as if all the problems were theirs alone. Not the asshole, it's your money to give and your money to take away. Destroying the remains of the baby is beyond and disturbing and cruel, and actions have consequences. Your daughters learned the lesson the hard way. Jesus, firstly, I am so sorry for your loss. As someone who is working with a fertility clinic for my first child, the thought of getting pregnant only to have a stillbirth is heartbreaking. My condolences. I was prepared to rip you a new one from that title. Especially as a child of divorce and my dad picking his wife over my brother and I, it felt personal. But after reading through everything, I could not be more wrong. You taking their college fund is far less than what I would have done. They not only disrespected you and your wife, but the child you lost, which is fucking gross. Not the asshole. Father had feelings for Sarah and probably destroyed the marriage. Now the kids are not happy and do this out of spite. Sucks, but everyone sucks. Destroying the jewelry is a bit far and taking away the college fund is also far. Everyone sucks. Am I the asshole, M24, for not throwing out my racist collection after my girlfriend, F24, demanded me to? I collect and make plastic models of various war machines and keep it in one of my rooms. It's a hobby for me and I've been doing it since I was 18. My girlfriend of 9 months recently demanded I throw out about half of them because she thinks they're racist and fascist. I have around 40 tanks and planes models from various countries of the world like Soviet Union, USA, Israel, Germany, and she demanded that I throw out all the German, Japanese, and Israeli ones. I really don't have any political motivation behind these models, and I keep them as a hobby, but there is a cultural difference between me and my girlfriend, so maybe it's not acceptable. I am a Japanese guy, and she is an American woman, and I heard American is really serious about racial stuff. I try to tell her that it's my collection I work hard on and I just like planes and tanks appearances, and not the politics behind them, but she says she doesn't want a racist boyfriend and she will break up with me if I don't throw them away. We had a long talk about this stuff for like 3 hours and I still am not going to throw it away, so she get angry and left my house early. I love her, but I don't think I'm willing to throw away something I work so hard on for years, but at the same time I am not sure how acceptable these kind of model tank and planes are. I am wondering how acceptable these things are internationally and if she was in the right. Am I the asshole? Edit. I talked to her on the phone about it to try and make a compromise, but she doubled down and said I have to paint the models completely orange, even the ones that she did not have a problem with. I obviously refused and now she's really mad and saying I don't love her and accusing me of cheating. I'm honestly about to break up. Not the asshole. It is not racist at all. Your girlfriend needs to chill out. In fact, it is slightly racist of her to pick out 3 countries as untouchable, as if Soviet and British and American militaries never did anything objectionable. Not the asshole. I collect books about cults and serial killers, but I don't support murder? This is so dumb, throw out the woman instead. Are museums generally racist? Many have replica displays as it's too dangerous to display the real things. Since they're replicas, is it now racist? Of course not. NTA. Your girlfriend is weird and controlling. Not the asshole. Fascists are fascist. Planes are not fascist. Not the asshole. This is a hobby, and if you don't assimilate with the views of a fascist regime, then you nor your hobby is racist. We cannot deny the past, and your girlfriend is trying to do that. Anyone who tells you to bin your hobby or something you love is not a good person and you should run as far away from her as possible. This is a harmless hobby, either she gets a grip or you need to leave her. Not the asshole. Come on, there is a difference between collecting a wide variety of historical military vehicles and Nazi memorabilia. I'm curious though, does she want you to throw out the US ones? Info. How is this racist? Not the asshole. Collecting model tanks, war machines is a hobby. Your partner is acting like you're collecting Nazi paraphernalia. Historically accurate models are not racist or in themselves fascist. It might ease the culture difference to discuss what she finds triggering about the models. Logically, it should be all or nothing. There are no countries that are free from racism.